Hi, guys. We're having the shortest live of the century today. I'm going to blitz through the news. And then hi, Jason. I'm having an podcast interview with Malcontent that should air this Sunday. Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Juju. Hi, Lauren. But yeah, so basically, very much congratulations, Juju. But basically, today is like hi Sky, hi Cat, hi Jillian. Today is going to be the shortest live of the century known to humanity that ever came from me, because at 6, so in less than an hour, I have a podcast interview with Malcontent. And I could not go live earlier because I was having some cine situations. So I had to attend to cine. So today, we're going to discuss everything in a super blitz manner. I'm also going to update you on the fact that, hi Gap, on the fact that Theragon has shipped, and I'm very happy to announce that. So it's going to be here soon. I'm figuring out a way to maybe send the Theragon to Ukraine with somebody who's traveling to Ukraine, who's going to give it to my dad, who then will ship it to Tork, so it can make it there earlier. But I'm gonna try and see if that. Hi Joe. Hi Ilika. Hi Gap. Hi Prexis. Hi Carolyn. Hi everybody. But so yes, I'm gonna try and see if somebody's traveling to Ukraine in the near future, so I could give them the Theragun so they could bring it to Ukraine, and then my dad can just ship it to Tork, which will get it there faster. If not, I'm just going to ship it through Mist, which is like a Ukrainian shipping service, and it should get it there in a pretty decent amount of time as well. But we'll see which option is the best. Then another thing is I'm going to post it on Patreon, but Tork posted a photo on his Instagram of his dog, and he kind of told the story of his dog while the dog was in Mariupol. And, Tork is not the only defender. The dog is too. And I asked Tork if he wanted me to send him some like American candy or something like that. And obviously he was like, just not expensive, because that's just, he's Mr. Humble. And I was like, candy is not expensive, dude. And then he sent me like a photo of his dog. And I was like, wait, what if I send him dog treats? Because his dog deserves treats. And oh my gosh, when you read, I'm going to translate what he posted on Instagram for you guys and posted on Patreon. And I was like, oh my gosh, his dog is just as brave and just as like defending as he is. So I want to get Ray, who is the dog. Hi, Dashall. Ray, who is the dog, some treats and send them to Tork because, well, you keep saying treats for Cindy. Cindy is sleeping. Cindy is not having the best day today, and I'm just leaving her to sleep because she was having some trouble today, and I just want her to rest, So there's that. What else? Oh, so let's talk about the main news today. So Liz Truss resigned, and the funny thing is the whole of the Tory party was saying that Boris Johnson is the worst thing that has ever happened to them, which I mean, I'm not going to argue. I do think that Boris Johnson did for Ukraine more than he did for his own country, which is like, that shouldn't happen. And there's a lot of very, very, very terrible stuff that came out of his prime ministership, like Brexit. Anyways, but so what I want to say is it's so funny that she did not last at all. She lasted like a little over a month. That's crazy. And it's funny to me because the Tories were saying that BoJo is like the worst thing that has ever happened to them, and now aren't they calling to get BoJo back? Which it's Comedy Central of the season, basically. I don't understand why they can't call for a general election and why they can't let the UK people elect a new prime minister instead of consistently just recycling the same people that no one wants to see in their government. They were like, oh my gosh, no, Liz Truss's damaging policies were going to cost us seats in the House of Lords, in the House of Commons. Like, oh no. But well, Boris Johnson was going to cost you those seats too. The thing is that, like, you have the least amount of support of the people than you've ever had. Neither BoJo nor Truss are nor Truss is probably going to fix that. I mean, BoJo is much more popular. Yes, Pop Rents, BoJo is much more popular than Truss is, but at the same time, like, it's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like between the two evils, right? Like, he was super unpopular when he was booted. No one liked him. There was so much like discourse around him. And then now that Truss is just much worse, everyone is like, oh my gosh, no, BoJo was great. We just want him back. And so I find it so freaking hilarious. Like, I wish you had a general election where you could just pick a new prime minister. The UK politics right now is a lot, but this is like the first time in hi Mariana, this is like the first time in years that I want to say, wow, I think whatever is going on in the UK right now takes the cake from whatever is always going on in the US. I think for once we are not having the biggest it show in our parliament. So yeah, not that I'm like woohooing about it. It's just fascinating to see that it is not the United States that's it is not the United States that is making the political clownship headlines for once in the past couple of years. So that's interesting. Belarus. So then another topic for today is Belarus and sort of what's going on in Belarus. And I'm not going to do a speech about it in the beginning. We're going to sort of go over things that came out today as they come. And we're going to discuss them. There aren't that many news. There isn't that much sorry, there aren't that many updates today. Not as many as usual, which kind of plays in favor for me because, I have very little time today. But I think also all the news today are overshadowed by the news from the UK, which is not strange, not uncanny, and understandable. So, we're going to start off strong with some very great pictures. They are from Sumy region. So this is Sumy Bridge in July. It was completely ruined. Also, yes, I don't have my manicure done on one of my hands and have it done on the other. I forgot. I've been having some rough days. So this is it in July, and this is it today, completely restored, completely renovated back to its former glory, and probably even better than it was before. So this is how Ukrainians are restoring our country and how much we care for our citizens to have access to transportation hubs. Ukrainian border guards shot down an Iranian Shahed 136 kamikaze drone in the Odessa region with small arms. At dawn, the soldiers of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine noticed a moped that the Russians had launched from Crimea. They opened fire on the drone with small arms, and they took it down, which is quite impressive. Hi. Oh my gosh, yeah, okay. So one of the things that I want to point out here, so we call Iranian Shahed drones mopeds, because they sound like a small little motorcycle. They make this atrocious noise. You might not be able to see them, but you're going to hear it approaching. Hi, Nick. But you're going to hear it approaching because it's on, because it's very loud. It makes this noise and it doesn't go away. Operational Command North showed the remnants of 2 Russian missiles that were shot down today, October 19th, in the Chernihiv region. Also, another thing that I want to point out, and I want to have it on record, both on like TikTok and all of the other social media, a lot of Ukrainian TikTokers have been taken down by Russian bots. And I mean genuinely like fake accounts. Like Aaron Parnas account has been permanently banned. And Aaron Parnas has over 1 million followers, and he also is verified. His account was permanently banned by TikTok the other day. I'm sure they're going to give it back to him, because what ended up happening is 100, and I'm not exaggerating, 100 of his videos got mass reported at the same time. 100. So these Russian bots went and reported all of his videos, which, like, obviously, it's obviously a cyber attack. And TikTok should know this. TikTok should know that if a creator, if 100, like all of the videos that they have ever created get reported at the same time, mass reported, it's a cyber attack. And the fact that like TikTok is still allowing this kind of stuff is like beyond me. It's not only beyond me, I cannot believe that a company that makes so much money and takes 60% of the profits from everything that is done on the platform by creators cannot afford to hire people to look through these reports, and cannot recognize even algorithmically that if someone's entire profile gets mass reported by fake accounts, it is, or like by accounts with like no activity, it is clearly a cyber attack. And at this point, like I've reached out to a couple of big news organizations and to a couple of Ukrainian and a couple of Ukrainian government organizations, and we are going to be taking some action, because this needs to stop. This needs to stop, and this is very clearly, if not targeting Ukrainian creators on behalf of TikTok, it is very clearly just malpractice. It is very clearly just malpractice, and it's horrendous. And it's just like, it's inadequacy in doing their job of keeping privacy and protecting creators on this platform. So I want it to be on record, and I want this video to be out there, and I want TikTok to hear that I said that, because I want you to know that there is this going on, and it's been going on, and you've been allowing it to keep going on. And again, even from an unbiased perspective, if a creator gets most of their videos mass reported all at once, you should look into what happened. Another creator, a Chernobyevka girl, Jane Baspala, her entire account got hacked by Russian trolls, and all of her accounts went down, and TikTok won't return them to her. None of them. All of them got hacked. All of them got taken down, and TikTok is like, no, it's your problem. She got hacked. Like, hacked. In Mariupol, the invaders dismantled the monument to the victims of Holodomor, installed near the drama theater. A truck crane was used to dismantle the monument. The invaders claimed that the Russians want to use the granite from the monument to the victims of the genocide perpetrated by the USSR, including in the Azov region, for building materials. Sure. The moment of today's hit on the town hall of Enerhodar. Ukrainian fighters are pulling another trophy tank. Привіт, Україна. The computer game Ukraine War Stories, where you have to survive the Russian occupation, will be completely free. The PC release will take place in October 2022, and the demo version can be downloaded now. The game contains 3 visual novels, the action of which takes place in Hostomel, Bucha, and Mariupol. The player's task will be to save his life and evacuate from the occupation. I don't know how I feel about this because I feel like it gamifies a horrendous experience. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why that would be made into like a game. It's not a game. Surviving Russian occupation is not a game. It's freaking awful. I can't even fathom the fact that someone went out and created a game where you have to survive Hostomel, Bucha, and Mariupol. That's, to me, I mean, I'm sure that the intention is very pure to show people how horrifying that was, but also, like, that is gamifying. That is gamifying tragedy. That is gamifying tragedy. And it says, oh, the game is going to be completely free. Really? Well, I'm happy that you can survive occupation for free and you get to relive it and replay it and replay it and replay it. And replay it and replay it and replay it. Like, oh, also to that troll who's asking, do you really think you're intelligent and educated enough to comment on these matters? I don't think about your questions. I don't. I don't care. I don't care whether you think what you think, and I don't care what you ask. Oh, a troll tells me to know my place. That's adorable. Well, you know yours. You know where it is? Off my channel. Anyways, so gamifying an experience like that, even if it's free, is so wrong because you get to, replay it if you don't survive. You get to do over. You get to do it again. You get to do these things, and you get to, like, just play and play. People in these situations did not get to do that. They didn't have a gameplay and they didn't have a replay. Also, to someone who's saying hello from Norway in Russian, here's the thing that I'm going to ask to do on my channel. If you are Russian and you live somewhere that isn't Russia or Russia and you want peace, don't comment that. Don't comment that, because if you have a Russian passport, if you are from Russia, that peace depends on you, and you shouldn't sit here and hope that there will be peace, because you are the only nation that can guarantee that peace. And while you are somewhere abroad, sitting there and being super safe, my parents are not. Their parents are not. Their parents are not. Some people who are watching me right now are not. And you sit there and you hope for peace. You shouldn't hope for peace. You should be at the Red Square overturning your government, your dictator government. And if you're a Ukrainian and you comment in Russian, then please don't do that, because I'm Ukrainian. I prefer to speak Ukrainian. I have nothing against Russian-speaking Ukrainians. You can find that on my channel when I'm talking to a defender of Ukraine who speaks Russian. But привіт, ЗСУ. Дуже вам дякую. ЗСУ найкраще. But if you're Ukrainian and you want to say something, I prefer that you say it in Ukrainian, because, it's hard for me to see a comment in Russian and be like, oh, are you Russian or are you Ukrainian? And I know that if you are Ukrainian, you know how to read Ukrainian, you know how to write Ukrainian, you know how to speak Ukrainian, And I don't see the reason why you wouldn't do that. And now, if you're Russian and you hope for peace, then, well, I hope for a lot of things too. I was hoping that you guys would do something and not just watch us die and hope for peace while you sit in Norway. Simple as that. I find it so funny when the good Russians come over and they're like, hi from Germany. I really hope there will be peace. Did you want a cookie for that? You think you just came here and you said something with these pure intentions and you said something sweet and you pat yourself on the head for that. We're not hoping, we're fighting. You're hoping. But the problem is we're fighting against the problem you created. And you are sitting there and hoping that the problem you created will go away. Simple as that. Please do not come on my channel and disrespect me as much as a Russian person sitting abroad saying, I hope there will be peace. Well, go and do something for it. Don't hope. Hope is not going to help you with anything. Hope is not going to help me. It's not going to help my parents. It's not going to help any single Ukrainian person who is on this live right now. Hi, Armin. Good to see you. Financial support for Ukraine has bipartisan support in Congress, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, according to CBS News. Kirby noted that the Biden administration will continue to work side by side with Congress when it comes to additional financial support to Ukraine. Oh my gosh, no, I don't want to. Today we can talk about bipartisan support for Ukraine in Congress. We're doing everything so that Ukraine can defend itself and defend its sovereignty, because this is really what is at stake. Except, of course, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian lives that have suffered from this war, Kirby said. Oh, Armin's quote of the day is up, so I'm going to read it. If you guys don't know and it's your first time, there is Armin on YouTube, and he always sends quotes of the day to me, and I always read them because I think they're very relevant and I think they're very good. The Russians are liars. You can't trust them. At the Potsdam conference, they agreed to everything and broke their word. Harry Truman, 1969. Make no mistake, nothing has changed. Yep. It's been more than 50 years since then. Nothing has changed. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, awarded EU Commissioner for Crisis Management, Yanis Lenarčič, with a state award for his personal contribution in support to Ukraine, and thanked him for the unprecedented amount of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine from the European Union. The European Commissioner in Kyiv announced a program to support Ukrainians in the winter, the press service of the European Commission reports. Due to our Rescue EU programs, a temporary shelter will be deployed in 3 different regions of Ukraine at once: Rivne region, Bucha region, and Kharkiv region. Згадайте, будь ласка, Велику Писарівку Харківської області. Нас вже 2 дні тут криють. So there is a ZSU serviceman on this live, and they are in Kharkiv region, and they are in the village of Velika Posarivka, and according to them, it's being shelled nonstop from the enemy. And this is one of the last. Let me look it up on the map so I can show you where it is. But I am willing to bet it's one of the last settlements that is still occupied by Russia that they're trying to liberate. And let me go in here. I want to look it up so I can give you an idea of where that is. Oh, Sumy. It's Sumy. Or, well, on the map it says Sumy. Oh, I see. So it's like, yeah, okay, so it's right near the Russian border, and apparently it's being shelled nonstop, and it's like right on the border of Kharkiv and Sumy. It's that red over here, and this is Russia. So this now is Russia. And that village is being shelled apparently nonstop for 2 days. And this is coming from someone who said that they are in the armed forces of Ukraine. Okay, so due to our rescue programs, a temporary shelter will be deployed in 3 different regions of Ukraine at once, Rivne region, Bucha region, and Kharkiv region. It was specified that the EU will help allocate 62.3 million euros for the preparation of temporary accommodation centers and provide them with everything necessary. President Zelensky said that 3 energy facilities in the country were destroyed due to strikes by the Russian military in a day. He urged Ukrainians to limit the use of electricity as much as possible on October 20th from 7 to 23:00, so 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Zelensky also said that during the month, the Ukrainian military shot down 233 Shahed drones and dozens of missiles. In particular, 10 Iranian drones have been destroyed today in the Kyiv direction alone. A split over aid to Ukraine has emerged in the Republican Party, which is likely to gain control of the House of Representatives after the November elections. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy warned that he would cut U.S. funding for Ukraine fight against Russia. Yeah, see, this is like really scary to me because I really hope that Democratic voters show up, and I really hope that we elect the right leaders because this is awful, and I don't know what the Republican Party is doing right now, but they're really not doing anything good. Russian forces are setting information conditions to conduct a false flag attack on the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant to justify or cover their retreat in the Kherson region, Institute for the Study of War. Also, another thing that I want to say, if the Republicans take seats, then women's rights are going to go down the drain. If Republicans are going to take seats, then more and more rights are going to go down the drain. So if you are a voter, please show up for the election and please vote for a better future for this country. The Russian Federation is already preparing to flee the Kherson region, but it will not be easy, according to British intelligence. The head of the Dnipropetrovsk region, Valentin Reznichenko, said that the Russians struck an industrial enterprise and an energy infrastructure facility in the Kryvyi Rih district. There is serious destruction. All services are working. Preliminarily, people were not hurt. So they hit Kryvyi Rih again. Oh my gosh. So they hit Kryvyi Rih again, and Kryvyi Rih is where Zelensky is from, and it has been shelled quite a bit since the beginning of this invasion. Minister of Defense of the Czech Republic, Jana Černochová, announced a new military aid package for Ukraine. The president of Switzerland came to Ukraine. Back in Ukraine 1 year after my last visit, my goals are to get a picture of the war situation, the humanitarian situation, and the preparatory work for the reconstruction of the country, Ignacio Casas wrote. Russians destroyed another school in Zaporizhia region. It happened at 7:20 a.m. in the village of Kamyshovacha, said the deputy head of the office of the president, Kyrylo Tymoshenko. There are no casualties, but there is destroyed civilian infrastructure and residential buildings, he added. Ukrainian writer Andriy Andrukovich wins the Heinrich Heine Prize 2022. According to the publication DPA, Andrukovich, a determined advocate of European values who's committed to a free and independent Ukraine and close ties with Europe, is being honored by the city of Düsseldorf as a sign of solidarity with Ukraine. Mayor Stefan Keller said the award is a reminder to continue to show solidarity with Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. The prize will be presented to Andriy Andrukovich at a ceremony on December 13th on the occasion of 225th birthday of Heinrich Heine. If the Russian Federation already says it is at war with NATO, it remains to take Ukraine to NATO, the former head of the Lithuanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said. Italy will never be a weak link in the Western alliance against Russia's invasion of Ukraine, said Giorgia Meloni, the leader of the Brothers of Italy political party, who is expected to be appointed prime minister in the next few days. Well, here's the thing. I don't trust Giorgia Meloni with anything she says, because she says what the people want to hear. And that's how she got elected. So I don't know. Students of one of the theater universities conduct classes in the Kyiv metro during the air raid siren.
Ви так красиво співаєте. Це ваш лайк? Це на своє все, да.
If you're American, voting blue is Tory in the UK and conservative in Canada. Neither is a good idea. Wait, what? Voting red is Tory and conservative. Voting blue is Democrat and Labor. I'm so confused, Grumpy. But also what I did want to say is I would go a little bit more over the politics of Italy and other countries, and normally I do, and I do ground my statements. The problem is that as I said, like, today is a very short live because I have an interview later. Okay, more than 200 animals rescued from the most affected regions of Ukraine will spend the winter in the Kyiv zoo. To keep animals warm, well-kept, and fed, the zoo is stockpiling food, insulating buildings, purchasing electric generators, infrared heaters, and wood-burning stoves. Well, people are saying vote blue, Grumpy, because vote blue in America. Hotel for Ukrainian refugees burned down in Germany. The police suspect arson. According to the police, the fire that occurred on Thursday night is believed to be arson. I'm here, I'm from New York. According to the police, the fire that occurred on Thursday night is believed to be arson. Earlier on Wednesday, the police visited the residential property, a hotel, over swastika graffiti on the entrance sign. So at first, they put a swastika on the entrance, and then they burned it down. Sorry. The United States stated at the UN Security Council meeting that it has no doubts about the origin of the kamikaze drones that Russia has recently been using en masse against Ukraine, and is preparing sanctions against Iran. The Ukrainian air defense and missile defense systems work effectively thanks to the professionalism of Ukrainian soldiers and military assistance from partners. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny. Thank you, guys. During the shelling of Kyiv on October 10th, the building of the National Museum of Natural History and the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine was damaged. Its collections were not damaged, but some windows and exhibition shelves were destroyed. Привіт, Україно. Можна, будь ласка, українською? Temporary shutters were installed there this week. Ukraine has already destroyed almost 50% of the potential of NATO's main threat in the form of the Russian Federation. Ukraine's membership in NATO will definitely strengthen the alliance, said Andriy Yermak, head of the Office of the President of Ukraine. British Prime Minister Liz Truss announced she's stepping down after a month and a half on Downing Street. British Secretary of State for Defense Ben Wallace, Rishi Sunak, Jeremy Hunt, and Penny Mordaunt are all possible successors, according to the Guardian. So Ben Wallace, Rishi Sunak, Jeremy Hunt, and Penny Mordaunt are all possible successors, according to the Guardian. Yeah, but they cannot give the right to vote for their own prime minister, someone, to the British people, right? That would be that would be just too much. That would be just too much democracy, right? 544 settlements have already been liberated in the Kharkiv region. 32 remain under temporary occupation. Also, to someone who said, Dasha, hi. To someone who said hi from Ukraine, and they said it in Russian, and I asked if you could do it in Ukrainian. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I have nothing against Russian-speaking Ukrainians. I just think that, first of all, you did say hi from Ukraine, so I know that you're Ukrainian, not Russian. But for me personally, when I see Russian speech on my lives, I have to wonder whether the people are Russian or whether the people are Ukrainian. I have to wonder, like, sort of whether I want to see them here or whether I don't. And in my vast experience of 8 months of doing this every day, literally every day, I think I took only 5 days off in the last 8 months, and other than that, I've been live every single day. I think that, for me, it's like sort of triggering to see Russian speech, because anytime I see Russian speech, it's usually yelling at me, attacking me, calling me a Nazi, or telling me that not all Russians, and that I should just shut up and stop doing this. So if you could, дякую. So it's just, as like a Ukrainian person online, it's much more, I guess, it feels much nicer to see your native language than to see Russian, But yeah. Okay. The EU Council has approved sanctions against Iran for supplying Russia with drones for strikes against Ukraine. The Czech presidency of the EU Council reported this on Twitter. The EU countries decided to freeze the assets of 3 individuals and 1 organization responsible for the supply of UAVs, and are also ready to extend sanctions to 4 more Iranian organizations that appeared on the previous sanctions list. The Norwegian authorities stated the involvement of Russian intelligence services in the launch of drones over the country. Привет, Zaporizhia. Since October 10th, Russia has launched about 300 strikes on the energy system of Ukraine. Minister of Energy Herman Halushenko. The Belarusian Service of Radio Liberty published satellite images of the Zebrovka air base, 25 kilometers from the state border with Ukraine. The images show that the number of military trucks has increased on the air base. The territory of the military camp has expanded, and the presence of S-300 and S-400 surface-to-air missile systems is noticeable. A train arriving with fuel is also visible. Hi, 8Life. Thank you so much, Todd. Привет, Німеччина. So that's why, Guten Abend, Deutschland. Yeah, I'm suspicious by default. Yeah, I'm like, now when I see comments in Russian, I'm just sort of, I also noticed that, so I'm going to try to say this very fast because, again, I have like 15 minutes. But I've noticed that, like, I don't even know, honestly, how Ukrainians in Ukraine feel, because, I only know from my parents, but my parents live in a very, very Ukrainian-speaking area. So obviously they don't get to have the trigger of the Russian language. And my mom is also Russian-speaking, but we now speak Ukrainian together. But one of the things that I wanted to say is, like, I, as someone who is not living in the war zone, who is lucky to be safe, right? When I hear Russian speech now, and mind you, I'm a half and half. Like, I speak Ukrainian to my dad, and I speak Russian to my mom. Well, not anymore, but my whole life I did. So Russian language is not foreign to me, right? I was born in Lviv. I was raised in Lviv, and I spoke 2 languages ever since I can remember myself. Like, it was always, I would turn to my mom in the kitchen, I would speak Russian. I would turn to my dad in the kitchen, and I would speak Ukrainian. And so it was always like that for me. And now I find myself, when I walk down the street and I hear Russian speech, I have an automatic trigger reaction, and I start singing Ukrainian songs. Like, I'm not even kidding. I don't do it on purpose. It's just like, it's a reaction. Anytime I hear somebody speaking Russian, I start singing "Oi u luzі червона калина похилилася," and it's like, that, or like Stefania, or anything really, because, like, it's just like it's a defense reaction. And so I can't even imagine how Ukrainians feel in Ukraine or in Europe when they hear Russian speech after really after running away from missiles, from bombs, from occupation. Like it must be so incredibly triggering, and it must be so incredibly like scary, because it's PTSD. Like I didn't even live through like through that PTSD firsthand, right? And I have a form of PTSD where Russian language just genuinely triggers me. So can you imagine how much it triggers Ukrainian people who have lived in like Russian occupation? So yeah, it's a very, very, very complex, it's an incredibly complex subject, and I think it's an incredibly complex situation here with language. What was the default language between my parents? Well, it depends. My dad mostly, they just spoke. Honestly, my parents mostly spoke, like my dad just spoke Ukrainian, my mom just spoke Russian. That was that. Anyways, the New York Times says the Russians have moved S-300 air defense systems and a large number of troops from Syria to Ukraine. According to Western diplomats, this may change Israel's attitude towards arms supplies to the Ukrainian military. According to the newspaper, Tel Aviv feared that in response to the supplies, Russia might use these systems against Israeli aircraft in Syria. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says everything points to Iran supplying drones to Russia. A Russian aircraft fired a missile near an unarmed British plane that was patrolling international airspace over the Black Sea on September 29th, British Secretary of State for Defense Ben Wallace said. Wallace told the parliament that Great Britain suspended patrols after the incident and expressed concern to Russian Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu. Russia said it was a technical malfunction, and Wallace said the UK had resumed patrols. He added that fighter jets now accompany the patrols. About 100 traffic cameras were stolen in Sweden. They were found in Russian drones. Canon cameras are installed in steel cabinets along Swedish motorways. Similar models were found in the Russian reconnaissance drones Orlan 10. Representatives of the Swedish security police, SAPO, said they are aware of the connection between the drones of the Russians with the theft of cameras. However, according to the spokesman Fredrik Holtgren Friberg, law enforcement officials will not talk about their intelligence work and share details. OPSEC. Russia has concentrated up to 45 battalion tactical groups to deter the offensive of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kherson direction, said Brigadier General Alexei Hromov, Deputy Chief of the Main Operational Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Kyiv is monitoring the situation near the administrative border and is ready to respond to any threats from the north. Alexei Danilov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council. The Dutch parliament supported the creation of a special tribunal for Russia in The Hague. The majority of the Dutch parliament is in favor of creating a special tribunal to consider the case of Russian aggression against Ukraine. We can and must hold Putin accountable, said MP Sjord Wimmer Sjordsma of the D66 party. Russia can take experienced soldiers from the right bank of the Kherson region and leave there the newly mobilized, the general staff said. He added that at present, the aggressive rhetoric of the military political leadership of Russia and Belarus is intensifying, and Russian units of various branches of the military are also deployed in Belarus itself. Russians transferred S-300 air defense and large number of military personnel from Syria to Ukraine, the New York Times said. Russia was able to mobilize up to 200,000 people out of a declared 300,000, Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said. Ukraine and Switzerland signed a memorandum of partnership in the field of digital transformation, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky noted. He also met with representatives of one of the largest investment companies in the US and the world, Goldman Sachs. We discussed the possibilities of attracting investments for the needs of Ukraine. In particular, attention was focused on the issue of cyber defense and counteracting the spread of misinformation, the president stressed. U.S. congressmen intend to adopt a law on assistance to Ukraine up to $50 billion by January. This amount should be enough for the whole next year. I think they are preparing just in case Republicans win. The occupiers mined the dam and units of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power station. This was stated by President Zelensky. According to him, if the orcs blow up the dam, then about 80 settlements will be in the flood zone, including Kherson. We must do more to put pressure on Russia and weaken its ability to continue the war, said the Lithuanian president. Gitanas Nausėda urged to provide Ukraine with air defense systems and prepare a new package of sanctions against the Russian Federation. So the Kakhovka Dam is very incredibly... Cat, what are you doing? So basically, Novokakhovka is incredibly... that dam is incredibly important because if it gets blown up, the entire Kherson region, along with the city of Kherson, might be flooded. So that's a big deal. And they mined it either because they actually want to blow it up in order to slow the Ukrainian advances, or because they want to threaten Ukrainians into slowing their own advances. So yeah, so that is all I have for you for today. I'm sorry that today we barely had any analysis, or barely had me basically going over certain news and explaining them and diving in depth. It's because in 8 minutes I have an interview and I really need to go. And that is basically, I'm going to appear on Malcontent's, thank you, Todd, on Malcontent's podcast this Sunday, and today we are recording it. And I will probably go live later today. Sort of just like talk and go over more news and deep dive a little bit into it. And I'm also going to finally release the Aiden Aslan video. I was going to release it yesterday. We filmed the intro to it, but then the camera was shaking anyways. Technical difficulties. I'm doing my best. I will see you tonight, and tonight you will also see the Aiden Aslan's interview part 1. Okay. Bye, guys.